Hola! If you are watching this video, that means that you've successfully created your digital portfolio as a Google slide presentation. That portfolio should include the title, a cover slide, and you've shared it with your teacher with the ability to edit. This video is going to show you how to take great pictures of your two-dimensional work. If you're looking to take pictures of three-dimensional work, like sculptures or pottery, you'll want to watch that film to see how to take those pictures specifically for three-dimensional forms. When you and the teacher have agreed that your work is completed and ready to be included in your portfolio, then you can take a picture of your artwork. You can do this either here in class, others may be working on their projects yet, or you can take it home or take your pictures outside of class. You've got really three options for taking your pictures. You could certainly use your own phone or camera. You could borrow with permission a phone or camera from a classmate or friend. Or your third option is to use the camera that's kept here in the classroom. If you'd like to do that, simply ask the permission of the teacher. You can go and get it from the desk yourself, use it, and then put it back when you're finished. So, before I show you a super secret 5-step system for taking great pictures of your work, I thought I'd share with you what many students are tempted to do. After wasting some time looking at their artwork that's been done for some time, they will stay at their table, they'll sit here, or maybe even stand, and they'll snap a picture. Sometimes it works, oftentimes it does not. So, let's show you what will work. Well, that brings us to our 5-step process to taking great pictures of your artwork. The first question you ask yourself is, where should I take my picture? Well, I think we already covered that taking the pictures from your seat at your table is probably not the best method. So, I would encourage you to get up and move to a location where the lighting is better. So, you could go to the whiteboard, grab a magnet or a clip of some sort, or you could go to a wall, put a little masking tape or something behind your artwork if you like, and have your artwork hanging vertically. You could also go to the table in the room. I'll have this black cloth typically available. You can choose to use it or not. But go to a table where you can set up lights to highlight or illuminate your artwork in the best possible way. And that's the first step. Step number 1 is to have outstanding lighting. We want to eliminate shadows, or glare for that matter, coming off of the artwork. So move to a spot and set up lights. So you're welcome to use these lights and grab them for wherever they may be in the classroom and position them wherever is necessary to eliminate shadows when you take your pictures. The second key, the second step to taking great photos for your portfolio is to be aware of the angle that you're taking the picture at. By angle, I mean we want to take our photo straight on, square with the artwork. So if I'm over the artwork, I want to make sure I'm directly over the artwork, shooting straight down at 90 degrees. I may need to adjust the orientation of my camera to capture the image as best as possible. Notice as I'm standing here, I want to avoid casting shadows on the work as well. If I'm standing at the wall, I want to make sure that I'm level and I'm taking that picture straight on, square with the artwork. Those are probably the two most important steps and the ones that students fail to do effectively. Having great lighting and being aware of the angle that they're taking their picture at. The third step, or third thing to be aware of, is we want to make sure that our artwork is flat. Sometimes your work might be curled up, it might be in your sketchbook or something, so we need to flatten it out. If that's the case, you can use your own hand, you can use the friendly fingers of a classmate to help hold it down, books, tape, whatever it takes to hold that artwork down so that we're not again throwing shadows or casting a glare. this is where having a margin can be helpful, because you can see if I put my fingers on my artwork, now I'm covering up part of the work. Versus if I have a large margin, I can hold that down and not cover up the artwork. So that's the third step, get your artwork flat. The fourth step is to fill the frame. So this relates to the size of the image. I want to make sure that I'm close enough, or that I zoom in close enough so that the artwork fills the frame as I'm taking the picture. I don't want a bunch of empty space in my photo. It's possible that the proportions of the artwork would have some open negative space in the frame, but for the most part, try to fill it up. You want that artwork to be as big as possible and still have it fit the frame. The fifth and final step is we want to make sure that the image is clear, so we want it to be focused. So make sure that your lens is clean, make sure that the camera is set up so that it's focused on the artwork, and we want to just eliminate any kind of fuzziness, haziness, blurriness that might be there. Make sure we've got a clear picture. So those are the 5 steps. The lighting, the angle, keeping it flat, filling the frame, and maintaining focus on the artwork. An additional tip might be this. If you have something that, some part of your artwork that you want to highlight, it could be texture, it could be use of colors, or some other detail in the artwork, you could take an additional photograph or additional pictures of that particular area. Another way to do that is when it's in your portfolio, you could zoom in and crop or enlarge and crop just that part of the artwork that you want to highlight or bring attention to as well. So with that, I will show you some examples of those 5 steps: the lighting, the angle, keeping it flat, filling the frame, and keeping it focused. Okay, so now I am behind the camera. Probably the best place for me to be, you're thinking. So let's review the 5 steps here by showing you some examples of how not to do to take your pictures and how to do it. So the first step was lighting. So here we have our artwork. It's placed on a table, and you'll notice as I move the camera, you can pick up the glare depending upon the angle that I'm holding the camera at. So another issue that we often have is casting a shadow. So I don't know if you can see that in there. As I hold my hand at a different position, I can cast shadows unintentionally on the artwork. So make sure that you take the time to set up your lighting, and if it's somewhat indirect, you'll have a less chance of glare. And to set up your lighting so that you minimize as much glare as possible. The second step is watching your angle. This is the area that, another area that students will often make mistakes at. So you can see if I take my picture like this, I create these goofy angles where the sides of the paper are like going to a vanishing point. We want to make sure we take our pictures straight on square. So get right over it and take that artwork, take that picture straight down at the artwork, not on an angle. Most often I see it like this, where the bottom of the picture is closer and bigger, and then the top of the picture tapers as it's further away. It looks smaller. The third trick or tip is to make sure that the artwork is flat. So you can see this paper is curled up a little bit. The paint causes that paper to curl a little bit, so I may need to hold it flat. If I put my fingers on it, with this artwork there's no margin, so I'm covering it up, so I'll have to crop my fingers out later. If you have an artwork that has a margin between the artwork and the edge of the paper, that can make it a little bit easier to hold it flat. The fourth step is to fill the frame. So if I take my picture like this, I can see the floor back there, I can see the surface around the artwork. We want to eliminate everything as much as possible that is not the artwork. So I want to zoom in. Well, I'm holding the camera this direction. It's oriented horizontally, and my artwork is oriented vertically. If I zoom in, I'm going to start cropping to tops and bottoms. So in this case, I want to make sure that I fill the frame by orienting the camera to match the artwork. And then I can zoom in as much as possible before I start cropping the edges. So fill the frame. And the last step is to keep it focused. I'm not sure how I could unfocus this, but I've seen it happen where the picture is hazy or fuzzy for whatever reason. So those are your 5 steps: the lighting, the angle, keeping it flat, filling the frame, and making sure it's focused. If you wanted to take a detailed picture, you could do like what I was doing earlier. Could zoom in on one particular spot, minimize the glare as much as possible. Maybe I wanted to show the sense of depth or something, an overlapped area, or use of color or value, a high contrast or a great gradation and value. You could shoot different spots of your picture that you want to emphasize for details. So, let's review, shall we? When should you take pictures of your artwork? When you and the teacher have agreed the work is complete and ready for your portfolio. Where should you take your pictures? Anywhere is necessary to maximize the 5 steps. And how should you take your pictures? You should have amazing lighting, no glares, no shadows. You should have an awesome angle, straight on, square. The artwork should be flat, it should fill the frame, and it should be focused. And now, the scary part. How well you follow these 5 steps will be taken into account when grading both your portfolio and the individual projects themselves.